right, and we back with another episode of Hey, I'm Just Asking. And today we want to talk about the Madam Stephanie St. Clair, the Queen of Harlem. Now, when we talk about the women of the underworld, Madam St. Clair is probably number one on this list. A few months ago, I did a story on Odessa Madre, the Lady Al Capone. Odessa and Madame St. Clair are very similar, but the Madame separates herself because she didn't have a problem with resorting to violence to make her presence felt. The Queen went toe-to-toe with the mafia, the pimps, and some of the top gangsters in the game. Knife for knife, gun for gun, and tit for tat. The Madam didn't back down from anybody. The crooked cops even tried to silence her, but she prevailed. The Queen was the first of her kind when it comes to a woman of power in the Harlem underworld. The lady boss, Madame St. Clair, created an empire with her numbers rackets in the 1920s. Born on Christmas Eve in 1897, a French West Indies baby, the Madam comes from a single-parent household, so there's not a lot of information on her father. Her mother was known as Felician, a hard-working widow in Guadalupe. Back then, if you wasn't married, you had no rights as a female. So her mother had to work hard to send the Madam to school. But in 1912, when she was 15, her mom became ill, so the Queen had to drop out of school to support her family. Stephanie became a maid for a rich family, only to be assaulted on a regular by the family's son. Why? Ow. The Queen was definitely a strong black woman. She persevered until her mother passed. Now it's time to start her new journey, coming to America. Now, here's where it gets shaky. Stephanie St. Clair was 15 with no passport and no guardian, so how did she get to make it to the U.S. without any credentials? Some say she lied about her age, others say she traveled to France, then Canada. Hey, if it's two sides to a coin, then it might be two sides to this story. Welcome to New York. Is it safe to say no matter which way she did it, she made it happen? Sidebar. Madame St. Clair taught herself how to speak English. So, if she left Guadalupe in 1912 and she arrived in America in 1912, that means she had to have learned our language in under 6 months' time. Welcome to New York and the Harlem Renaissance. Now, it was a time when black Americans from the South and the Caribbeans migrated to Harlem to create the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was an intellectual and cultural revival of African American music, dance, art, fashion, literature, theater, politics, and scholarship programs. The new Negro movement. Man, I wish we could get back to that in this present day, but that's another blog. Shortly after settling into her new life, the Madam fell in teenage love with a small-time crook named Duke. She made a bad decision because Duke was petty gang. He tried to pimp her out, but the Queen stayed a step ahead of him. She played chess while he was playing checkers, only for him to be shot in a fight between gangs. Some say she moved down south a while until she ran into the treachery of the KKK. If this is true, How could we ever question her street cred? Just to go through that situation and survive is a testament to her gangster. The reputation of the Ku Klux Klan is horrific, especially when it comes to what they were doing with black women back then. So it's back to the Big Apple, but she's still looking for love in all the wrong places. I guess you can say she took a step up with her new boyfriend, Ed. He was a moneymaker and her business partner. Ed introduced the Madam Queen to the dope game. She getting to the money now. It only took her a few months to stack $30K, so she told Ed it was time for her to create her own lane. The Queen wanted to establish an independent business, but that didn't go over too well with Ed. He tried to strangle her. I made you. You gonna work with me or I'll kill you. It's sad how the Queen could never find a man she could trust, but that would soon change. The Queen of Harlem was feisty, the underdog, so if you tried to overpower her, she would overpower you. Ed found this out the hard way. Once he assaulted the Queen, she went on offense and pushed him so hard he hit his head on the table and cracked his skull. Game over. A queen is born. Stephanie St. Clair laid down the blueprint for Odessa Madre and my most notorious female of the underworld, Griselda Blanco. Now, for most of the gangsters that I speak on, they're going to usually have one thing in common. They all understood the power of money. The Madam Queen of Harlem handled business with a boss's mentality. She paid the killers and guerrillas to hold down the front line. Because what's a queen without an army? An unsuccessful queen. Man, Madam St. Clair saw the future. The crooked cops will look the other way if you pay them. She played the game, but they didn't play fair. So she later became an activist against the police department. Miss Entrepreneur. She hit the lottery, and I mean that literally. She's one of the forefathers when we speak about the numbers rackets. The black penny hustle. It was once labeled laughable by the mafia and her European peers. This would soon change when the mob kidnapped a reputable figure in the numbers game for a $50,000 ransom. With money comes power. So the Queen made a $10,000 investment and the rest was history. Just imagine jumping off the porch to win the championship. You got a policy bank from Harlem to Manhattan. It's queen status. What's happening? Yeah, everybody eats with the Queen. Play a number and bet the hustle. You might get lucky. It's a sweet flip. It's ironic how the numbers culture has spread it now. It went from numbers, now it's the Powerball and the Mega Millions. Should we thank the Queen? We should at least give credit where credit is due. Whether right or wrong, the black race has played an integral part in building the foundation of America through poverty. Madam St. Clair beat the odds in a male-dominated sport. She stood tall. The Queen of Harlem opened up job opportunities for the black community at a time when jobs were scarce. She employed messengers, clerks, controllers, and the numbers runners. Outside of her security staff, she still kept at least 50 people on the payroll. All of this would change when Dolph Schultz set his sights on the Harlem's numbers rackets. The Dutchman terrorized the black bankers and forced them to work for him or retire from the business until the godfather of Harlem came home, Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson. Now, that word godfather, if you look in the dictionary, you should see a picture of Bumpy Johnson because he was influential in pioneering the organized crime game in Harlem, a feared killer. So, we'll just call him a problem solver. He gets all of the notoriety for being ruthless, but his soldiers at arms set the tone like find something safer to play with because Harlem is ours. Bumpy Johnson is in charge now, while the Queen is in the tuck for her safety. It's wartime. There was a lot of kidnapping and killing going on. Man, those mafia guys didn't have a chance. They were sitting ducks in Harlem. How could they blend in? Bumpy Johnson ran off all of the white bankers and destroyed their businesses while plucking the Dutchman's henchmen off one by one in the process. This was a bloody war. There was casualties on both sides. Madame St. Clair won the lottery again at the expense of the Dutchman. Game over. On October 25th, Mandel Schultz was gunned down in New Jersey. It's a celebration in Harlem. The Madam Queen then focused her attention on civil rights and politics. No more street life. She's on a positive path. Can she finally find love and the happy ending? Man, could y'all believe the Queen is married again? But it's with one stipulation. Sign this contract. Man, I think the Madam is the first gangster on record that I've ever did research on to have a prenup. She married a controversial race activist, Sufi Abdul Hamid. He preached black separatism. Some say anti-Semitic, an alpha male. So, is it safe to say the Queen enjoys a good opera? Because her last hurrah was a drama movie. Like, what's that one that the females like? Oh yeah, Lifetime. Man, cause Sufi was cheating. So that means he breached the contract. So the Madam had to take matters into her own hands. She fired 3 shots, but she missed, and the authorities hauled her off to jail. She was sentenced to 2 to 10 years, and I'm not sure. I think she served like maybe 4. She rode out into the sunset and lived a peaceful life until she passed away in 1969. Did she stick to the code? Yeah. Technically, I would have to say no. The Queen snitched on the Dutchman, and she also told on the crooked cops that she did business with. So what's the difference between her and the other rats of that era? Well, I'll say most informants go to the witness protection program, but the Queen went to the community protection program. And that's a testament to the love that Harlem had for the Madam. Hey, man, y'all tell me what y'all think about this. The Madam Stephanie St. Clair, Queen of Harlem. Man, like this video, share this video, comment, and subscribe. Hey, I'm just asking.